Coffee and Cream on Hail Varsity Radio with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning.
And it's Sam Reinhart taking the draw. Puck pulled back, near point. Montour down here on the near side, then down behind the net. Bennett off to the near corner. Kachuk in front. Reinhart, a shot, top shelf. He scores a power play goal. Sam Reinhart just under the crossbar, and the Panthers strike first, just past the game's halfway point. It's 1-0.
2-2 pitch to JD. Swings and hits a drive to right center and deep. This ball's back. This ball is gone into the Braves bullpen. The second home run of the game for J.D. Martinez. And the Dodgers lead it 8-5.
Now he delivers. Swing, and there's a high drive into deep center. Way back there, Taylor at the warning track, at the wall. He leaps, and goodbye! A 3-run homer into the bullpen to the left of the 411-foot marker in deep left center field. And the Giants, 4 batters into the game, have a 4-0 lead.
And the Lakers will obviously inbound this in the front court.
They're looking for LeBron, and then Reeves coming in.
This is going to go fast, people. Pay attention. Austin Reeves look in. 4 seconds left. 2 points ties it up. LeBron in the paint. Layup, no good. Got his own board. There's the horn! And the Denver Nuggets, for the first time in franchise history, will go to the NBA Finals.
I got a lot to think about, to be honest. And just for me personally, going forward with the game of basketball, got a lot to think about.
Good morning, BB. How you feeling? Sucker.
No, I'm good, man. I'm good.
Sarcasm was through the roof this morning, so I didn't know if it had any, residual effect on what happened last night.
Yeah, I mean, my snark has more to do with just my general disposition.
With today or with life?
No, I mean, I think you're privy to significant amount of information, and so sometimes it is. I try to do a pretty good job of compartmentalizing, but sometimes it spills over.
Sometimes the file cabinet is just a little too heavy.
Yeah, it's just a lot going on, managing schedules, and sometimes I think you know too much, so you don't know what to process with other people not knowing. You want to look at them and kind of tilt your head and be like, why are you so sensational and dramatic? But then you reel it in and understand people are people, so why should it be? No, it's all good in the neighborhood. We got meetings. We got a big day tomorrow in Lincoln. Mm-hmm. We've got
some good stories to share on Thursday.
A commitment this afternoon, and just doing things. One of my kids leaves this weekend or Friday,
going to the West Coast.
Yeah, the left coast, and I'm not going, so it's kind of weirding me out. But Calvary's on the way, send some help, so we're good.
So
made some ribs yesterday; they were fantastic.
Just to butt in real fast, has he ever been to the West Coast?
Yeah, they played at Venice Beach last year, and they're going back. So he feels like a new man. I mean, he can actually breathe and run around, and
like Brooks and Dunn.
And he's, I don't know what it's like to breathe through my nose. Yeah, man.
He's gonna go out there and just smell the ocean.
Yeah.
Oh, I can actually. I can smell this.
Yeah. So we
coming.
So I'm
coming off the water.
I'm pretty happy with my rib game now. It's very. It's on point.
Did you smoke them last night?
Yeah. So it's tough timing because I didn't get home until I don't know in the late ones, probably 45-ish, and then the downside to the barrel smoker is it takes some work. Right, it's deep set. You got to get in there. You got to get rid of the coals in the basket that didn't burn off. It's not like a quick turnaround. So it takes me about 15 minutes to get that thing cleaned up, the charcoal loaded. It takes a second to get it to temp where I wanted it. I held it at about 235 yesterday. Kind of on accident, but I took it because I knew I could put them on before I had to go get the kids and be back up at the high school. And I didn't pull them off. I pulled them off at about, I was a little late, so I didn't pull them off until about 170 temp. I was looking for 160, 165.
Okay.
So they were a little more than halfway done. And I went to the wrap method, and they were sensational. And I use things that I don't typically like because, I did use a little brown sugar.
That's
I use a little butter.
Give me a little sweet.
I re-seasoned the foil just a little, and I didn't use much. Like it's pretty much a non. I'm like,
What'd you pair it with?
So I didn't really use what I call a sauce. Oh, the side, smoked mac and cheese.
Oh, all right. See you later. I'm gonna go into your fridge.
No,
and
it was ridiculous. It like
smoked mac and cheese.
Yeah. So in the skillet, you a little flour, a little butter,
my mac and cheese.
Cheese, grated some fresh cheese, got that bad boy stirring, then added the noodles, little seasoning, topped it with more shredded cheese, then smoked it in the skillet for only about 12, 15 minutes. It was it's legit. It's legit.
Where's my little container?
You know what? I should have. I should have done it.
I'm sad.
I think there are probably are about 6 bones left, maybe, out of 2 racks. Gosh. Caleb had his little friend over, so what?
It's okay to say girlfriend.
He had his little friend over for dinner, so it was
his little friend.
What do you want me to say?
Just like I said it. Or you could say his lady.
Yeah. So, and that was about it. A lot of bad sports on last night again. So
there were good sports on.
I was
glad
to see the Braves get out of character and blow a 4-run lead. That was nice.
As you said when I walked in, you're like, "Hey, Andrew, did you know that the Braves were 17-2 when leading by 4?" I'm like, "Aren't most teams 17-2?"
No, well, I would be curious to see what the Cardinals' record is.
I don't know if we've ever
when they've been +4.
I don't know if this year we have.
So who won just the other day? They were down 5, then won by 5. It was the first time since 2016 that had happened in their franchise history. There's some weird stats.
Yeah, baseball is a sport where you can take that over.
Baseball. Are you heading out to? No, we have meetings. Fudge. So you're not? Are you heading down to CHI? No, wait. What? Hey, what is it? The Chuck? Is it Schwab? Where are we at? Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
Because we got the great Cam riding in my Broham.
Cam's taking over on Friday, right, Shane?
I don't know, man. Shane is what day? What day, KB?
Cam just yelled. Shane had to put his headset on.
Cam will be in on Friday.
Oh, okay, nice. Oh. Is Cam's beard better than Schaefer's?
Because he's sitting right here. Yes,
it's very close. I do like.
I think it is close.
It's close.
It's similar. Cam's used to be longer.
Oh, I know. Cam and I go way, 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 way back.
You guys are bros, hams?
Yes, we're bro hams. But he was like my before anybody was really working, we're getting this thing started guy. So he did all my podcasts
at Hurrdat.
Yeah. So I was chilling.
Cam did my podcast too.
I was chilling with Cam when it was just the two of us in an empty building.
Yep, he was my fantasy football guy.
He's like, "Hey, do you need a link? Am I emailing this to anybody who's on Playing It Forward?"
Who's on it?
Which we're going
to. On it.
I don't know if I want to bring Playing It Forward back or just go with the new baby launch with Ravi. I don't know how. I mean, I'd be in the studio a long time. Plus, I run out of things to say. Although, as long as I keep getting
not you.
As long as I keep getting stupidity fuel, my tank,
your tank is always going to be full.
My tank will stay full.
You don't have to refill.
So I've gotten a lot less patient in my old age. I used to always just kind of, well, it's okay. And you're still free to have your own thoughts, but man, I can't, I think it's my like responsibility to just not allow you to warp the way other people think. So let's just continue to try to promote individual free thinking, man. Stop. I had a great conversation yesterday. And it was awkward because
in the house?
No, where this particular person was, it was very, very loud, and
church.
We got cut off a couple times, and I could tell there was a lot going on. But we got to talking about the recruiting industry, right? And kind of what it's done, what it's become, who they kind of gravitate towards, what they actually pay attention to, what they don't. And I think it would be a good idea to like have some sort of a round table. And now these people
like a war room,
like just to talk about the industry and as it relates to colleges and stuff like that, because I think it would be eye-opening. But I also don't know if people want that insight, because it may change the way that they want to do their job.
So
because sometimes you can have too much information.
Yeah. So what you're saying is you can show up if you want to, like the leading recruiting sources out there would probably be the ones to show up.
Yeah.
And like, say me, for example, I could be the one that's like, I don't really want that to sway my insight.
Yeah. Sometimes I ask you, hey,
do you want to know this?
Do you want to know this? Right? Because
more times than not, I say yes because I'm nosy.
Yeah, you're self-admitted too, aren't you? That's self-admit. That's kind of your thing. It's not mine. Which I think serves me well. But sometimes,
because I think more times than
sometimes it leads to my isolation, because because I can shut down
more times than not. If you tell me something, I'll think about something else. But if I don't know it, I almost kind of need that kick in the butt, right?
Yeah,
to say okay, here's your start. Now start to roll.
I can go home and not leave again until I have to, and it would not bother me one bit.
Now it helps though that you have so much experience. You've been there, you've done that. You have kids going through that too, so you don't really have to.
Yeah, and I think I'm going through a midlife crisis. So
you gonna get a new Ferrari or something?
No, no. I may go power wash and stain my deck. That might be a 6.
That's
as lavish as I get. But I don't know. It's been a weird last couple of years, so I just feel like not really vibing. So I need to snap out of it.
Yeah. Yesterday. Okay, would you eat jambalaya in the heat? I know this is way off topic.
Yes. But I do think there are hot foods and cool weather foods.
Right.
But yes, I would eat jambalaya in the summer.
And so I did yesterday. We went to a patio in Old Market, and it was Ashley and
Upstream?
her friend in town. Upstream, exactly.
Jackson Street jambalaya?
It's exactly what I had.
Yeah.
It was pretty
not that
tasty.
I've memorized that menu, but
pretty close.
But that is the name of the dish.
But I ordered the UBC mac and cheese to start, and she said,
sorry, the what?
The UBC mac and cheese. So you can get like their mac and cheese.
UBC? You build
UBC Upstream Brewing Company.
Oh, okay.
And so I got that with the blackened chicken. And she goes, well, on social media, we had posted that we were running low on the mac. So like, if you could have something else, like
this is what the
waitress was telling me. Yeah. And I said, well, okay, if that's not there, give me the jambalaya. And the first thing that Ashley's friend, her name's Kaylee, said was
Kaylee and Ashley.
You're gonna eat jambalaya in this heat? And I'm like,
oh, doesn't she know how you love to be questioned?
I'm like, hang on a minute.
Here we go.
No, I'm like, yeah. Have you ever had the jambalaya here? So now I start defending the jambalaya.
Yeah.
And
she's like, wow, so aggressive.
Well, she had the Reuben, and I'm like, Omaha is famous for the Reuben. Like, it was started here. She goes, oh, no way. She said it wasn't her favorite Reuben she's ever had, though.
Yeah.
So, but
I used to go. They used to have brunch buffet there.
we were sitting on the patio.
My he's obviously he's in my fave 5. One of my besties lives directly across from that building, and you'd never know that it's a home. It's a place called Lucille's, and that's where he lives.
Huh.
It's just catty corner from the parking lot,
right?
As you walk out of the upstream, so there's that paid parking. He's the big brick building.
Yeah. Is there an Anytime Fitness in there, or is it? Am I
That's
in a different
next
building?
It's the one over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that was close.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have a brain. I feel like
a penguin.
Who is it? The Scarecrow and the Wizard of Oz.
Mrs. King.
Does he want to?
Did you used to watch that show? Shane, who was the lady that you had a crush on that was in Scarecrow and Mrs. King?
Courage. She had the brain.
I didn't have a crush on her.
Is Angela Lansbury? Is she the one?
No, she was in Murder She Wrote.
Was it the girl that used to be in the lady that used to be in Charlie's Angels? I can see the show in my head.
She might have been in Charlie's Angels.
I think Shane had a crush on this lady. He used to always talk about this show. I'm totally making this up because I like making fun of Shane. But
what's great is he's explaining his job to Cam, and he has to hop on whenever we address him.
Oh, yeah, that is.
He only gets half the story.
That is the lady you used to like, Shane. I don't know her name. But she was in, I think she was a Charlie's Angel. Cam would know. He's full of useless knowledge.
He is.
He's a trivia guy. Shane, do you know who I'm talking about?
Mrs. King? Yeah, I know her.
Okay, yeah. But anyway.
That's where we started.
Because it takes him forever to the dude stays on delay.
You let off with Mrs. King, and then we went down this rabbit hole and came back to Mrs. King.
Shane.
It's what happens when he's in the H&H Chevrolet studio.
Mm-hmm. So we're eating on the patio.
Yeah.
And I hate knocking the homeless population sometimes, but there was a guy out there on the corner that was just low-key being a menace.
Yeah.
Like, first off, he picked up a cigar that somebody had dropped and started just smoking it for himself. Then he chucked it across the road and he went and picked it up again. But he's just like yelling at people as they're walking.
Oh, I know who you're talking
on
about.
the sidewalk.
I know what you're talking about.
And I'm like,
full beard, dirty face,
shaved beard, dirty face.
Well, the dirt is kind of
right,
but a given.
But I think he must have shaved, because I'm sure if you are thinking how I'm thinking, it's the same guy. But I'm just like, you're just making people uncomfortable right now.
I just don't know. Like, that's one of those things, I just got through talking about how I'm particular. Like, sometimes I think, like, if you're not in control, I have way more grace. So I don't know if we're talking mental health issues. I got a guy some chicken directly across the street. There's a Cenex gas station, and I really like that. I like that mart in there. And so sometimes I'll kill time when I get my hair cut. And he's always out there, and I knew he was hungry, and but he never asked me for anything.
Well,
right?
see, Ashley and I do similar things. Like, we give care packages to the people up on L Street.
He didn't ask. Oh, isn't that something by the McDonald's?
No,
well,
by Target and Home Depot.
Yeah. Right, in the retail place. But anyway, like he ate his just chicken on the spot, and he put the rest of it kind of like by his backpack. And so I was sitting across the street because I was talking to a police officer, and somebody else brought him it was like in some foil, so maybe it was like a sandwich or something like that. And he put it in his backpack, and he waited a sec, and he finished kind of eating the chicken, and he threw the bone. This is where the cigar story is. He threw the bone. So we're kind of watching, and I'm like, I don't really think that's littering, but I'm wondering what the police officer's going to, it's not that big of a deal, right? Kind of like jaywalking or whatever. But then he went back and got it, and he finished eating.
Yeah, I was just.
I mean, so what am I supposed to say? Like, hey, don't do that. Like, he probably, at least he wasn't wasteful.
I mean, there is a plus to that, or you could just set it down in the container so that you avoided.
I'm very uncomfortable judging the thought process of somebody that doesn't have a regular dwelling.
That is true.
Plus, I worked at the Open Door Mission, so I have a soft spot, super soft spot.
And look, I'm all about finding ways to help the homeless.
He said a low key menace. Like, are you going to eat this cheeseburger type menace or
No, like just yelling and screaming at people on the corner.
You probably didn't see Menace to Society, did you?
No.
I guarantee he was no O-Dog because
I'm sure he wasn't.
O-Dog was a menace.
But man, he would get mad when people wouldn't stop to talk to him.
Yeah.
And so
no,
I'm like, come on, man. Come on.
So the better question than eating hot food in the summer or spring, whatever it is, the months are all screwed up. We just bypass spring around this place, but was what I eat outside because 99% of the time I will not. I do not enjoy eating outside.
Really?
No.
I love eating outside.
No.
Now the food gets cold much faster outside.
And
but
do you want like the little microbials just like landing on your food?
They can do that in the house too.
Yeah, I'll take my chances. I'm good on eating outside.
If the fly's coming by, just give it a wave and you're good to go.
Yep.
Yep.
Not a chance.
Hey, if you're eating something warm though, you can eat it outside.
Yeah. Well, you know.
What did we have outside the other day?
Something bad.
Steak bites.
Steak bites?
Rice and asparagus.
Garlic
butter steak bites. Oh, were they good? Cooking them up in the skillet. I don't have a grill or a smoker.
Did you learn from your last steak bite episode?
Yes.
That a boy.
Mm-hmm. So what did I say was the problem with the steak bites? I put them in the
crock pot.
And
you let them go too long. You said it tasted more like pot roast.
So I didn't put them in the crock pot this time.
Just a hard sear?
Mm-hmm. Hard sear. Put my Danos on it. I'm a big pop guy.
Do you get the bulky Danos from Walmart?
No, I get just the little container. I don't use it.
So the two most prevalent seasonings in my TikTok videos, which because every other one is, as you know, it's either a movie or food, is Danos and Meat Church.
Meat Church.
Yeah, like you got to get some of that Danos or that Meat Church. But there's
yum, get you some.
There's this one brother that I follow. And he always, his line is, all you need is that dirty bird seasoning. It's this real cool cat. He came up with his own line of seasonings, so he only uses his own. I don't know where you buy him from, but he's a fantastic cook.
Meat Church, or
he's got a different one. So that's the other one, but it's always either Meat Church or Danos. And I'm like, I didn't know you could get Danos here locally until you told me they're always at Walmart.
Mm-hmm. Now, there's a video I should show you. I'll send it to you. There was a video I saw from the Danos guy, and he made, is it chorinos? Is that how you pronounce it? Like with pork butt?
Probably.
Is that how it is, chorinos? He, on the fat side.
Wait, did he dry and crackle them out?
That's what he did with the salt.
Chicharrones.
Yeah. Sorry, that's what it is.
Chicharrones.
Yeah.
Hey, big fan.
And he put salt on the bottom, put it in the fridge for an hour, then scraped off the salt. And after he was done smoking it, it sounded like he was biting into a Dorito.
Yeah. There's a place locally that serves those as part of their appetizers.
Yeah, I said once I get a smoker.
Did Shane tell you about the wings he had here the other day?
No.
Dude, they were solid.
He is in love.
Did you get the breading?
Yes.
Gotta get the breading.
He is taking TV.
Come to HBC, you get the breading. That's the DB way.
Hey, and you can't go wrong with the macaroni either.
Oh, the mac and cheese here is so fire.
I'm not even a mac and cheese guy.
But it's not like your basic Kraft mac and cheese noodle. It's a swirly one.
Nope, they got some thickness to the sauce too.
More CNC after the break.
Maybe sports.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 5 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Jamal Murray has it across the timeline for Denver. Nuggets lead it by 3 points. He goes to the right hand. He's inside the arc. Nikola Jokic on a switch is guarded by Shooter. Now they switch back. Jokic picked up by Davis. Takes a tough three. Got it right at the horn! Oh, man!
They're calling it a 2. Mark Davis changed it to a 2.
110 to 104 Denver.
Nikola Jokic is stupid. The fact that that shot went in was insane, and that wasn't the first time that he's done that against the Lakers. Coffee and Cream back with you. We have Brandon Vogel coming your way at 7:45. We're talking to Will Bolt head baseball coach at Nebraska at 8:45.
Good get there, Shane.
At 9, we will be talking to Mike Boeve, who's in Tulsa.
Good get,
Oklahoma.
Andrew.
That's right. Oral Roberts is right. Tulsa. I'm right
Yes.
when I say that.
Tulsa King.
I just
Sylvester Stallone.
I kind of guessed there, but
So
I
now you
also,
sending me to Tulsa?
See, my Tulsa reference is Friends.
Wait, is that where that was?
Where Chandler got sent? Tulsa?
I didn't know that.
Well, no, it's based in New York, but he got sent to Tulsa.
It's
And,
that's off of St. Louis Ave in Tulsa, Oklahoma,
Oh, look
baby.
at that, St. Louis, STL.
Yeah,
And
nice shirt, by the way.
well, I'm wearing it because of St. Louis Ave in Tulsa, Oklahoma, because that's the only place teams go to win, right, Mike Boeve?
He doesn't typically like to talk and do interviews. He's very to the point.
But
So
if you can
we're
get
go-
inside of
yeah,
him,
we're
like,
gonna
you can peel him back.
Yep, we're gonna.
He's a personality.
We're gonna have to ask the non-closed questions.
Yep. I think he's prepared for it.
Yeah.
And we got Joel Lorenzi right at about 9:15 today. So in the Sports Six Pack to close things off, which you can get your questions in for that because we'll be drinking at 9:45 our favorite Zipline beer. Going back to that Nuggets highlight, did you think it was a 2 or a 3?
I thought it was a 2.
So
Real time.
but they didn't end up changing it to a 3.
I know.
And if you watch it back,
It's a 3.
it's a 3.
Yeah.
I don't care where his first.
I don't know why
they
they didn't go back and do that.
and check that out, right?
But some of his deft or touch is it's pretty unbelievable. And it's just funny too, because the tighter that game got, the more animated he got. And for a guy that can sometimes come across as like maybe hard to get along with, like the way that he got into his teammates encouraging, I was like, yeah.
Well, it was like
This-
Denver.
Team of destiny.
Denver wanted that game to end so badly.
Yeah.
Like 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
They were milking every second. They weren't getting a good shot.
Despite Jamal Murray's crazy shot attempts. Like, not sure what was going on with the hero ball. It almost got him in trouble, but hey.
And then the Lakers were just, it was like give the ball to LeBron in the final 2 minutes and just hope and pray that he puts it in.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Like both teams had poop stains on the back of their shorts.
Hey, so
they were about to.
you know how the Lakers were
Get
trying
the
to win?
bed.
D'Angelo Russell only played 14 minutes. Somehow it was a +6, but
That's a good thing.
yeah.
That's a good thing.
I think still finished the series with a ±, but which is, I mean, maybe it's not that hard to believe, except when you're +37 going into yesterday's game without you on the floor and a -32 with you on the floor.
Well, you know
Yeah.
what really made me mad was the reaction of people today, and I'm not even a LeBron fan. The reaction of, LeBron he just doesn't have it. He doesn't have the
Now,
LeBron of old.
Stop talking to those people if they're saying that.
No, I'm just looking at reactions on Twitter. I was listening to callers on the ESPN morning show about it, and I'm like, what are we talking about? This guy's 38 years old.
The team had no business being in the Western Conference Finals.
If you date LeBron back 5 years, yeah, I'm probably with you. Like, hey, this series would probably be tied. Maybe it's 3-1. Maybe the Lakers are even winning. Who knows? But it's not 5 years ago.
Dude,
This is a LeBron team when he's 38 years old, played almost every minute of the game but 4 seconds. And you're acting like because he got tired in the end that, I don't know if LeBron has it anymore.
Dude, he was 4 of 7 from behind the arc in an elimination game when he had shot the ball terribly from behind the arc. Like, he rose to the occasion. He almost had a triple-double. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, I couldn't.
He was 18 of 25 from the floor. He had 10 boards, 9 rebounds. He shot 4 of 7 from behind the arc. Like,
I just don't know what you're criticizing.
dude, we talk about sometimes he's pretty sketch from the foul line. He was 6 of 7 from the foul line. Like, there's a lot of
Just
things
because
wrong
he
with
scored 31 in the first half and hardly had any in the second half doesn't mean that he didn't have a good game.
well, I
Doesn't mean that he wasn't out there.
needed a little help when Rui missed and it wasn't just this, but when he missed the wide open 3 from the top of the key late to tie or take the lead. I'm just like, yeah, they're not winning this one because they had 2 good looks
didn't-
at it.
He didn't even look comfortable.
No, he kind of it was flat, and he kind of followed it in to look like he was trying to will it in, and I was like, yeah, he.
I like looking at body language after shots like that in late moments, and I'm like, you are just not the guy.
Yeah.
But Austin Reeves, he's the guy.
Yeah, Austin Reeves is going to get paid. He's going to make quite a bit of money in the offseason. I don't know from who. Maybe it's a Lakers thing, but I just don't know. They kind of have to shake that roster up a smidge. Figure out what you're going to do with D'Angelo Russell and I don't know. I don't think you can move AD. I think you have to go get one more scorer to help out LeBron. So we'll see what happens with the Kyrie Irving stuff. I don't know. I may not wait till NBA League Pass goes on the cheap because I just don't know if I can watch Kyrie, LeBron, and AD. That would
hurt you.
Yes. and I've suffered a little bit watching some guys on this team the last 4 or 5 years, but that may send me over the top. But I'll still watch.
Do you think he ends his career as a Laker, right?
Yeah. Well, because I mean, you'd be talking about
Could
going
end tomorrow.
You'd be talking about going somewhere on like a 1 or a 1 year deal for $40 million. Like
I just didn't know if like if
I don't know
hey,
who wants
Cleveland,
to play,
right? If he just goes back there for a year,
and he may try to hang on until Bronny, but that's minimum 4 years, 3.
Well, he doesn't have. He's put his body through
and I just
so
don't know.
much.
I just don't know.
I don't know if he has the gas to last that long.
I don't know if Bronny gets drafted either. I mean, somebody may do him a solid and put him on a 10-day, but although his game has evolved, I'll give it to him. He's gotten much better.
We'll see how he plays at USC.
Yeah,
because it was kind of like similar thinking with. Well, maybe not. I was going to bring up LaMelo, but LaMelo like quickly shot up the board when he chose not to go to college.
Maybe in the lines of another SC guy that I didn't love his game. I didn't know how well he shot it was maybe OJ Mayo.
That's definitely a good
comp,
side by side.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so we have the Nuggets that swept 4-0. The Heat are up 3-0. The Panthers are up 3-0 on the Hurricanes. And the Knights are up 2-0. There's no way there's ever been sweeps and conference finals in both of those sports around the same time. I'm gonna have to look that up because those are details that I'm
gonna say no way.
But like, who's the first team to get
off
a
the
win?
schneid?
Is it going to be the Celtics? Is it going to be the Stars? Or will it be the Hurricanes?
I'm gonna go with the Stars.
So tonight,
I'm going to go with the Stars of those choices.
It won't be the Celtics.
You think the Celtics
because they're on the road and I don't think they enjoy playing with each other. And they know if they win this game, they're going to have to go back to Boston and kind of chill together. I think I don't know.
I would probably lean Celtics and say this series goes to 6.
They're the most capable. But the mind, which is what we often underestimate in all this evaluation stuff and team head-to-head is we just
Dallas back in Dallas, right?
Yes.
Okay. Oettinger plays good at home.
Celtics are about at their ceiling. I mean, this is about as good as this team's going to get.
Down 3 in the
I just don't
Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, I just don't think you can run it back.
Oh, the Celtics?
Yeah.
There's no way they win 4 games. No way.
And I just hope it's not like well, there's lots of things I hope, but I'm kind of hoping it's a close game, and maybe Miami's bench isn't so great, so I don't have to listen to Reggie Miller tell me about the Heat's roster.
Oh, are you getting sick and tired of that TV?
Dude, is that not a thing?
I just tuned them out. And they already have 3 people talking.
I need to be better. I need to be better. I can usually do that. I've been distracted by a few broadcasts.
Like the chicharrones,
I need
the crack.
I'm telling you, man, they're fire. I'll give you the low-key brands, too.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Well, we're pretty excited about it. And again, just, we keep pinching ourselves going, are you kidding me? But we're still working through a few things, but we actually think, Greg, that the final total capacity is going to be at 91,000. So
Okay.
Obviously we had to work with a fire marshal on some standing room only. We're hoping that, I think on June 5th, we would like to have some additional solid information, hoping by June 5th we can announce who the artist will be in terms of the concert. But with all those approvals, if we can get to 91,000, we think the all-time record for a women's sporting event in the United States is at risk.
Wow.
And we'll have an opportunity here with our volleyball program to break.
That's Trev Alberts on the Husker Radio Network last night, Sports Nightly, with Greg Sharp, talking about how, well, Nebraska can pack a stadium when it comes to volleyball.
Yeah.
91,000 and some change.
When it was first announced, I guess 60. So 30,000 obviously exceeds my expectations. But if you ask me if I'm surprised, I'm not, man. I just
This state loves themselves some volleyball, but as I said before,
so there's three things the state
people
loves.
still got to go.
There's three things: an event. Okay, so it's an event. It's an event place, right? Like they love getting something that they normally would not get, right? Like an event. They love a challenge, right? So
yeah, because you're buttoning this up against Wisconsin's number, and you're like, hey, let's beat it.
Yeah, and we love records.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's the third one.
Yeah,
and records. Okay, event, challenge, record.
So
that sounds like E plus R equals O, DB.
Yes. What's the desired outcome? The desired outcome is
to shatter,
to break a record, right? What's the event? The event is volleyball. Mm-hmm. So what's my response?
We're going to buy tickets. We're going to buy tickets to watch this event.
I'm telling you, man, that real time too, it really helped. E plus R equals O. I was telling this to Chris the other day. Like it even helps me like in critical thinking. So even real time, like if we're in a heated discussion or there's interactions with, I used E plus R equals O about 15 times with Robbie last week, real time in my head as I'm talking. Literally.
Well, he's not
because it keeps. Well, see, it keeps me dialed in, right?
You don't let emotion take over.
No, and which is why I don't mind having those kinds of conversations, and it keeps me from allowing people to move the goalpost either. Like you can bring it back to what the original issue is if I keep the outcome in mind.
Yep, I get that.
So then I kind of know how to behave. Now, the downside of that is with my personality, like when I'm destructive, I've thought it through, and I'll do it anyway. Right, like I'll have told myself I'm prepared to live with the consequences. So, like when it snaps, it just all the way snaps.
Collide.
So that's the downside of it too.
Yeah, we'll get into more of that interview with Trev. Also, a little bit about the article circulating with Kevin Warren. But before we even get there, let's bring in Brandon Vogel now. He's with us via StreamYard. So if you are watching on YouTube or if you're live on Twitter, you can see him. If not, you'll be listening here in town on 590 ESPN Radio. Brandon, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
I don't know if I've ever really said like Brandon outside of going into his official name and title. I feel B-Vogues off of what you say a lot.
B-Vogues and B is what I.
But I just said Brandon, good morning, and it didn't feel good.
It's all right. He's a grown man. He can answer to it.
What's up, folks?
Not a whole lot. How are you guys doing?
Hanging in there. Were you one of those guys with the fake Kevin Warren outrage, or did you kind of parse through the details?
Well, I try not to have a lot of outrage as a gut reaction to most things, but it's getting curious, I'll say. I probably was more on the Warren defending side, particularly.
Me too. Same.
When he started, obviously you start in January, all of a sudden the entire sports world gets upended 2 months later, and that played out like it played out, but it's looking like some of the details were lost in some of these big dealings. I thought Trev Alberts handled that pretty well last night with some of his comments of saying, like, look, this stuff is here. What's being reported is out there, but we're still working through some things. So it's curious. It's one of those boardroom type of things. It's kind of tough to sink your teeth into without knowing a little bit more.
At no point did anybody think, well, how'd it get this far? It's not like he was going rogue, right? Because what would have been the end game? To have me look like I'm incompetent?
Right. Yeah, that's a pretty fair question. Maybe the key question, in fact, like for these, it's hard to, Tom Izzo's comments and Pete Thamel's story with
Oh,
ESPN
Lord.
really stood out to me I know other coaches who feel this way at times, but it's bizarre. There's so much money at stake. How do you get to a point where presidents or university leadership are agreeing to things that athletic departments aren't totally on board with? It's just it's kind of crazy.
And then to further that with the primetime games, the reaction there and teams not wanting to do that. Don't you want to have a championship mentality and know that, hey, if we make it as far as we want to make it, it's going to have to be a night game? So why would you be all up in arms about playing a game at 7:00 at night when, you're playing in one of the biggest conferences in all of football?
Yeah, that's one where I think these things have kind of faded away in a decade plus Nebraska has been in a conference. But that is one of those things that still sticks out to me as, hey, we're just the Big Ten and we have some quirks that we really, really care about. And this is one of them for, I think Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State are the three that we're primarily talking about, if I don't have that wrong. And, in Nebraska, and Albert said it last night, it's like, we'll play November night games, no problem. So that's one where, I think it's just kind of house rules a little bit. And from an older generation of this Big Ten piece, where I think it's hard to fully understand from Nebraska's perspective. That said, a late November night in Michigan has the potential to not be the best time to be out there playing football. So I don't know if that's where it ultimately stems from, but it's just been there for a long time.
So a late November game in Michigan would somehow be different than the snowstorm that Ohio State and Michigan played in anyway 2 years ago. Like it seems like, Brandon, I'm actually happy for once that somebody didn't acquiesce to the staunch old guard, because it's like bizarro world. Normally Nebraska fans would be applauding, coming to their defense, not letting the chosen few dictate. But for whatever the reason, it's just popular to pile on, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, and I think there's something to be said for that point of view of, hey, I think the word that I was struggling to hit on previously is it feels a little stodgy, right? To be like, yeah, we're the Big Ten and we want to make as much money as possible. We're,
with no concession.
Yes. But we also want to hold on to like this tradition thing. I mean, we saw it with the Rose Bowl through the BCS era, that whole thing. I mean, that's what this kind of reminds me of on a much smaller scale. Of just we're talking about night games. And, if you're Nebraska and you're willing to play them, it might be to your advantage if Nebraska can get things turned around in terms of its football fortunes.
Well, and especially with the conference expanding, and they want to keep expanding. When you add teams like USC and UCLA, and if you add some of the bigger teams still in the Pac-12, or even pull a team from the ACC, whatever it is, wouldn't you expect, or wouldn't those teams expect to be able to play late at night? And wouldn't the teams in the Midwest have to be okay with traveling to the West Coast sometimes and then taking a flight back in the early morning, just because that's just how the time stamps align?
Who gets to have their cake and eat it too? Like, that's not how the world works,
Yeah, I think you're right. And, with the addition of USC and UCLA, like,
you're going to have to play night games.
Yeah. I mean, are Ohio State and Michigan going to really be comfortable basically just seeding the primetime slots to those schools once the calendar flips to November? And maybe they are. Like, if they keep winning the way that they have been, it won't matter. Like, they'll be in the discussion and it'll be fine. But if USC, UCLA, if Nebraska is willing to do this, all of a sudden start kind of owning the big primetime slot, maybe that conversation changes. But maybe the entire Big Ten's history tells me it's unlikely to change for certain schools.
We kind of just had a venting session with
Well,
Vogel
I
here.
just so Brandon, did you? So we're kind of glossing over the part in the article too, and I know we only got 30 seconds, but where they all but put the onus on the universities, the chancellors, and the ADs, because it's not like they didn't
know about it.
Well, we were writing articles about the TV deal.
It's
I mean, does that make sense? Nope. It's false. Wait. I don't know, man. It just seems odd to me.
It's Careful with what you know with how things actually work. No matter how big or how lucrative they might be, it's just you'd be surprised a lot of the time.
Yeah, B-Vogues, we appreciate you, man. We'll talk next week.
All right, thanks, guys.
More CNC next.
Thoughts about how we are aligned for NIL at this present time, and I know you've made some moves in-house on that.
Yeah, so Jonathan Bateman, who's worked within our department for several years, has been announced as our new GM of NIL. And I'll tell you, I probably should have done this 6 months ago. I mean, you think about, well, 6 months isn't very long. The amount of change in this space in 6 months is crazy. I just got a 2-page document from Jonathan with an update on all the legal ramifications, all the advancements of where all of these proceedings are going, what the likely outcomes are going to be. But for us, I think we have a good strategy in the NIL space, and we're really grateful for all of those, our donors who are supporting, the collectives that support us. And, what's important to me is ensuring, obviously, you have to be focused on all of those types of things that the universities holds near and dear, but at the same time, doing everything we can for our student athletes and coaches to make sure we have a reasonable chance to be competitively successful. So I'll tell you. Probably should have done this 6 months ago. I mean, think about, well, 6 months ago. The amount of change in 6 months. The amount of change holds near and dear, but at the same time, doing everything we can for our student athletes and coaches to make sure we have a reasonable chance to be competitively successful. So the amount of change.
Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
The amount of change in this space in 6 months is crazy. I just got a 2-page document from Jonathan with an update on all the legal ramifications, all the advancements of where all of these proceedings are going, what the likely outcomes are going to be. But for us, I think we have a good strategy in the NIL space. And we're really grateful for all of those, our donors who are supporting the collectives that support us. And, what's important to me is ensuring, obviously, you have to be focused on all of those types of things that the universities holds near and dear, but at the same time, doing everything we can for our student athletes and coaches to make sure we have a reasonable chance to be competitively successful. So.
Hey, top of the hour here on Coffee and Cream in the morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. Damon Benning, Andrew Rogers, again, Trev Alberts on Sports Nightly on the Husker Radio Network last night. And we just got done talking to Brandon Vogel regarding what I would call overreaction about Kevin Warren and the job he did before he left. Just about 2 months ago, we were talking about, I bet DB and I were probably a very small group of people that were giving Warren credit for the work that he did and taking out the fact of, hey, he worked through, or he had to deal with the COVID pandemic, and he didn't do a very good job of starting the season on time, and he took a lot of heat for that. But we discounted that because why? Well, nobody knew how to handle the pandemic. Nobody knew where somebody should work. Nobody knew when people should go back into the offices, things like that. So sports were dealing with the same thing. But we credited Warren on getting this TV deal done. He locked it in. What's it, $7 billion, something like that? And you're working with 3 different major media platforms: Fox, CBS, and NBC. Now, you're going to, if you really dig deep into the contract, which we haven't, we just read, and we have seen what Pete Thamel reported on ESPN.com, and we have heard the reaction from members of the schools, coaches, things like that. Are people still going to act like that the schools didn't sign off on this thing? It's not just, hey, Kevin Warren is the president and he gets to patch it through. No, this is something that starts, it's a contract that's written up. The schools see it. They put their name on the dotted line, and then it goes back up. Am I wrong?
Yeah. So there's a couple different issues, and I think we lumped it all together just because we don't like the guy, and it's kind of sad. I guess I get it, but I certainly don't understand it, right? Because what's going to happen is 90% of the framework is in place for a television deal. The deal is going to get done. Okay. So what were the 3 things that people were rallying around? Well, I can't believe he tried to give away inventory he didn't have. Okay. So I'm mad at Kevin Warren for parsing out inventory to try to make the conference the most money possible. I don't think I'm mad at him over that. Right. I think he's trying to do something to move the Big Ten Conference forward.
You're trying to be
put
like
us ahead.
the SEC.
Trying to be innovative, right? So
maybe even one step above the SEC.
Am I shocked he didn't know that he couldn't do that? Sure. But I'm no more shocked that it got to this point before we're having articles for as long as the deal has allegedly been in place. So it just snuck up on Fox. Fox owns the Big Ten network. So if he's going to give it away, that had to have come from somewhere. Or did everybody just turn a blind eye to it and my man was there by himself? Because here's the deal. This is what's really pissing me off. When nobody wanted to give him credit. Oh, man, Kevin Warren, he wasn't the man behind the scenes. He had help. He's got a board. I'm not making this up. The folks that didn't like Warren said that he was not operating by himself.
Solo.
Had to have had help. He didn't get the deal done by himself. But now that there's blame, it's all Kevin Warren.
because he's at the top.
That's what we're on.
Right.
Like because we don't like somebody, we're willing to be wishy-washy, fickle, and inconsistent because it fits our narrative. Like, that's wrong. Like, folks don't even realize. It's like we forgot what our rally cry was 4 months ago. Like, now all of a sudden he just went rogue. When the deal got done, we didn't want to give him credit. Or allegedly got done.
Well, he got credit, but people still held on to the fact that
he didn't do it.
During the COVID
he didn't do it
thing.
by himself.
Yeah.
But now that there's blame. And then the other thing, if we read the article, so everybody's cool with the basketball coach from another
Tom Izzo.
from a school mad because
he didn't get consulted on it.
He's not consulted about streaming?
Oh, I got numbers for you, Tom Izzo. I just guess last month's streaming numbers for me before you keep going.
I have no idea.
Versus cable.
I have no idea.
Streaming represented a record-breaking 34.8% share of total television consumption in the U.S. last month, exceeding cable 34.4%. You want streaming. Streaming is a thing. Streaming's in every household. I know you want the cable network, Tom, but guess what? People find you on the stream. That's where they're going to watch you.
What? So that doesn't seem entitled to anybody?
Oh, very much so.
So we're just cool with that. Like, I should have been consulted. Tell that to the NFL guys that are going to have their game streamed in 2 years for the playoffs. Do you know why they don't complain? Number one, because it's buttoned up. Keep your mouth shut and spend other people's money gladly and do what you're told.
It's not up to you.
It's above your pay grade. So the fact that was included is like some confirmation that there's anarchy. No, man, get out of here with that. Seriously, you think Frost wanted to go to Ireland to play a game? No, bro, that was above your pay grade. Like, stuff like that happens. If you want the perks and the money, you have to make some concessions.
Yeah, you have to play the game.
So I thought that was funny. And then here's the other thing.
Well, and then you have teams complaining about making concessions this year.
Right. Michigan.
Oh, Penn State's got to go to Michigan State.
Ohio State. Nebraska fans. Aren't we the same people that want our honor defended in the Big Ten? We're tired of the schedule inadequacies. The who's who of the conference get to dictate what's going on. Here's the deal. You had an athletic director yesterday tell you, we embrace primetime games. We're trying to grow the sport. We want to be wary of growth without compromising student athletes. That's code for we're willing to bet on ourselves that at some point we'll be good enough and take pride in being on primetime games. And you know what? As the athletic director that has to put together budgets, we'll take the finances that come with it. Novel. Novel idea.
Sign my book.
Novel idea to make some concessions as opposed to just getting the money. Don't we hate socialism? Don't we hate government? Don't we hate welfare? Well, a lot of us do, right? So you want the perks and the money without doing things on the front end because it's how you've always done business? And you're mad at Warren for that. Like, make it make sense. I'm here all day. I was here all day yesterday. Just listen to what you're saying. I had a guy yesterday tell me, and I want to shake his hand if we were face to face. He said, hey, you know what? I don't like Warren. I've never liked Warren. I think he's a lousy communicator, but I'm not mad over this. I'm like, hey, you know what?
You put your personal feelings aside about the guy's personality.
At least he was honest. I just don't like him. Now, is Warren a great communicator? Apparently not. But if you think that the end game was for him to leave this thing on the table because he was operating as a rogue, unbeknownst to anyone but him, so we could have these conversations after he's gone, You're crazy. And why are we missing the part in the article that put the onus squarely on other players involved, not just Warren? Like, I don't even recognize
also,
what we're doing.
I don't even know if he has to be a great communicator overall for the job that he had to do.
I don't even recognize.
All he was looking out for was the conference at the end of the day. He didn't need to communicate to the schools or to coaches in this matter for this to be something that, would settle better for them. All he really had to do was get a deal done. And it's not like he got the deal done and ran, which a lot of people are also saying, like, oh, he did it. Now he doesn't want to deal with any. Oh, here comes Petiti. Now he has to do everything. No.
You mean there was some time in there? How many articles were written post the deal allegedly being done?
At least a dozen. At least.
Minimum, right?
At least.
This didn't sneak up on anybody.
No.
Like nobody's at like, hey, how'd we get here? That's a fair question, right? How'd we get here? Maryland tried their own television network. Hey, seasoned fans, whatever they're gonna call it, Fear the Turtle Network. We've got our own deal. We're Texas and their fake network in a different conference.
Like a student network, or
what the Big Ten say?
I can't do that.
The schools don't control their own inventory. We do. So send out an apology. That's not happening. Appreciate the effort to try to create another revenue stream.
Wait, they didn't communicate that with the conference?
But with this mega television deal, no one said anything. Just say it out loud and feel good about it. It makes no sense. Listen, you don't have to agree with me. You don't. But all I ever try to encourage folks to do is stop with the sheep think, right? And just because we don't like somebody doesn't mean that they sometimes don't have salient points, right? Like, and that's cool. But I've said this for years, and it's a personal thing for me. Just because I don't like you does not mean that I can't learn something from you. And if I'm truly a lifelong learner, I don't want to miss it.
Mm-hmm.
And, oh, by the way, the conference will make more money post him leaving than pre him leaving. Right?
That's the funniest part to this whole thing.
So if you want
the
grass,
outrage.
if you want grass, and like we're not even thinking about this. You know how you grow? Do you know how you have a 40-person non-essential football staff? TV revenue. That's a big part of it.
That's how all professional teams operate too.
And guess what?
TV revenue.
Do you think I want to have
revenue?
Do you think I want to have morning camp in July for our team camp? Nobody else has the summer job that I do on our staff. We're having morning camp. Guess what I have to do? Take days off from here. Do you know why? Because it's above my pay grade. Do I like having to try to put this place back together in the morning sometimes when they have events? It's above my pay grade. Would I like things to be different sometimes at places? Sure. But there's it would be anarchy if we all had say-so whenever we wanted to and still all got to reap the benefits.
If there was not just one.
It's not even a good business model. Put together your budget with 17 people at the table. Include the janitor and the CEO, and let me know how long you guys are in that meeting. See you next year. This is not happening. Somebody has to make decisions because they're paid to do so. And I don't have to be privy to everything. Right? Like,
see you later.
I don't know, man. It's mind-numbing.
Let's go to the phones. We'll talk to Jay. Jay, you're on line one. Welcome to Coffee and Cream. Your thoughts on the Big Ten TV deal and the reaction sparked lately from that article about Kevin Warren.
What's going on, fellas? How are you?
What's up, Jay?
We're good.
Good. I heard a little bit of your rant. That's what triggered me to call.
My rant. Yes, it was a rant.
It was slightly emotional.
Yeah,
it wasn't as emotional. And I'm using those words Hey, Damon, please pay attention.
I'm
using these words perfectly to go into why we're even talking.
Okay.
It was a little emotional, Damon.
I got
okay?
you. I got you.
All right.
Yep.
A little spirited.
Um,
It was a little spirited. All right. Well, hey, I read an article. You had me intrigued. I read an article, dude, and it simply looks like this is our new athletic director not being able to carry the ball over the touchdown, over the end zone. Mr. Warren set the deal up. All he had to do was confirm all the things that were promised in Mr. Warren's deal that every person that has a board seat or has a say-so in the organization signed off on. They knew the stipulations in the contract, right?
Mhm.
That's just regular business, right? But here's another thing that comes into regular business. One thing is that most people that find themselves in leadership positions do not read emails in detail. They have 3 people underneath them that read their emails in detail and then report it up, right?
Mhm.
So you don't want to be the carrier of bad news to your boss's boss's boss. You don't go into the fine print. You tell them about the good stuff, right? The other stuff you can work out. So now you have athletic directors and football coaches. Listen closely. Football coaches. These dudes definitely are not reading the emails that consist of all of the fine print of the contracts of the, you know what I'm saying?
It's what
They're
you have a
not
lawyer
worried about
for.
that.
yeah, but
There you go.
ignorance is not an excuse.
It's not. It's not. So
People
watch this.
people have tried that in the legal system. It doesn't work.
But your point makes sense.
They should. They can't. They're placating ignorance in the media, not in real life. You feel me?
Yeah.
The media is reporting that, oh my God, and they get a clip from Izzo or a clip from someone else that says, oh my goodness, we didn't know. But this is really what it is, though, Damon. Real simple. It's the same thing, right? And I'm going to be the one to say it, so y'all can beat me up after. LeBron lost last night. I don't care. So listen. So it's the same way that Mr. Sims, our new quarterback, 6'4", 200 pounds, you know what I'm saying, specimen, can throw a dime, you feel me? And the commentators say, it's a great catch. You feel me?
Yeah.
Another quarterback, right, of the more Tom Brady hue, you feel me, can throw a pass, same pass, and they comment and say, he's just a prolific passer, man. He's intelligent, right? He's smart, right? Then you see another quarterback, same skill set, more of the Lamar Jackson hue, and they say he's athletic, right? He's a beast. He's a monster. And it's like almost to me, it is like blaring and disrespectful, but I don't overreact just because I'm like, well, the masses can't even see that they're doing this. You feel me? In this same way, you have a guy who left, right, who obviously is a savvy businessman, you feel me, that now he parlayed this situation into a Chicago Bears situation. You have a new CEO that is not the man Warren is. You can tell that by him standing at the podium, you feel me? Because he's not the man he is, he had to go back and make sure all of these people that were working with Warren and right behind Warren, that they stayed with the same thing that they were with when Warren was there. And I don't think he's capable of doing that. But instead of them throwing him under the bus because of his, his savviness and his ability to explain deals and his ability to get people to ride with him on the deal, they're going to throw it under Warren. Like every single corporation in America. Once the boss leaves, you blame everything on the boss. That's what we do to the president. That's what we do to everybody. So right now, you see that Mr. Warren is at fault for something very minute because 1 or 2 universities do not want to adhere to what they were already expected to do. Instead of it being on those large universities, right, we'll put it on Warren. It doesn't matter. He's not even here. And, hey, all season long while you on the radio, can you please comment on how dope Mr. Sims' passes are, Mr. You'd be like, look at this kid's arm. And then talk about how smart he is, how intelligent he is, an amazing humanitarian he is, and say nothing about the fact that he runs 4.5, 4.40. Say nothing about his athleticism. Talk only about shoulders up, Damon. All right, guys.
Hey, what if Marcus Washington made a catch like Odell Beckham Jr. though? One-handed, diving back in the end zone. Should DB say, man, what a beautiful pass by Jeff Sims?
Yes, you should say what an intelligent and like dime on a rope that he dropped. And then you can comment on Marcus Washington's flexibility. Don't talk about his athleticism. Talk about how smart he was to know how to contort his body in that way, please.
Jay, we appreciate the call, man.
I just think it's like I don't get it. You know,
Donnie on YouTube, Donnie Anderson says, y'all are literally clowns if you think Warren did a good job. He brought politics into college football.
See, that's the thing, right? So
we appreciate your opinion, but
I mean, and I'll take the name calling. I had somebody tweet me a picture of a monkey last night. I'm willing to be a clown to look through intent. I'm not ready to substitute intent with ineptness. Right? So poor communicator, clearly. Sloppy in the details, clearly. I go back to what the desired outcome was.
To get the deal.
So people can't get he's telling you without telling you that the handling of the COVID situation on the political spectrum is the driving force in his thought process. He's not willing to get past that to see what he was trying to do for the Big Ten Conference. And in particular, teams not named Michigan, Penn State, and Ohio State for this television deal. How else are you going to begin to try to level or catch up in the playing field without resources? The different, say what you want about what you feel about Kirk Ferentz as a person or what we believe happened with the handling of his staff and players. That is concerning to me, right, as an African American. But I can listen to Coach Ferentz tell me last winter, hey, Coach, how do you feel about expansion? He's like, well, you work for the Big Ten Network. It's what you guys say. And I said, oh, I'm just a small, whatever. And he said, as long as we don't have to make a living coming back from Pasadena at 12 a.m. in the morning, it doesn't really matter what I think. It's going to be about the networks because they pay our school a significant amount of money and a lot of bills. It's wasted energy. That's the difference between Coach Ferentz and Coach Izzo. Like some things you just go through to get the reward. Now, I'll be a clown, but I also don't let the fact that people's stance on handling a pandemic, I'm not letting that dictate whether I can see something in its totality. It's probably more clownish to be that narrow-sighted. But that's just me.
I'd like a little more explanation on why you disagree, Donnie. So if you want to give us a call, 888-638-4876. We'll get to Brian after the break. We have just about 40 seconds left.
Can two things be true at once?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely can.
Because he didn't have to be a great leader or great at his job to have me think that there's a lot of fake outrage with this art.
It's what I said at the very beginning.
What happened?
What I said at the very beginning. I look, you pick up trash along the way. It's going to happen no matter what job you step into of this caliber. You're going to pick up trash if you're Petiti. Whether it was the Big Ten commish job or whether it is the Pac-12 or what, wherever he finds himself, you'll pick up trash. But I said this at the very beginning, and I'll say it again. Kevin Warren did more good than he did bad for the conference. Ultimately, if you just look at the TV deal, that trumps a lot of things. Brian, we'll get to you after the break. Stick around. More CNC.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 5 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds.
Sinstock already committed to Nebraska. He too is just a sophomore.
Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Hey, before we get to Brian, I want to take a moment and tell you about the College World Series kickoff party at Omaha Design Center. It's an opening day celebration, outdoor pre-party experience with live DJ and yard games. Just 2 blocks from the Chuck. Premier viewing of the game on ESPN TV inside with air conditioning and bathrooms. I always add that into this read because that is a point of emphasis, because when you are down at FanFest, you can hardly find a bathroom, let alone if you see a porta potty. It's probably pretty warm inside of there. So why not cool down and use the restroom over at the CWS Kickoff Party at Omaha Design Center. Reserve your kickoff party tickets for $20 per person at omahaeventgroup.ticketleap.com. This will take place on Friday, June 16th at the Omaha Design Center off 15th and Cumming Street. They'll begin the kickoff party at 4 p.m. and the doors will open at the same time. Let's continue our conversation. Go to the phone, Shane, and we'll talk to Brian. What's up, B?
What's going on, fellas?
How you doing?
Lit them candles for old man Braun and them Rottweilers last night.
They're out to get you today, DB. They're out to get you.
Hey, I'm a Laker fan. I'm a Laker fan, but hey, just 83. Just need to get rid of AD. That's all I got to say about that.
I saw you tweet that last night. And
I don't like big. It's like, you know, when you're worried about your feet all the time, people getting up under your legs.
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed how every shot he shoots near the basket or near contact, he's always throwing his feet from under him so he doesn't have to worry about twisting them?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, he doesn't want to take any physical contact. And the last time we played them in the bubble, he wasn't the one who shut him down anyway. It was Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee. So he hasn't really did anything with Jokic since he's been there. He's not physical enough for me.
B, would you rather have AD or Draymond?
I'd rather have Draymond because at least he's gonna play. He got some heart. He's gonna play with some physicality. I want him. He don't look like a man down there sometimes. Last 2 games he just disappeared. There was no physical contact. I don't see it from him. Out of all the big men I've seen in Lakers jersey, he's very unimpressive. And I would not miss him at all, is all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But when it comes to Kevin Warren, when I hear his name mentioned in the state, it kind of pushes a button for me because when you talk about people being sheep, I remember the first flare we had with him, it was because people were trying to say he was the one that was trying to push having a football season during COVID. And I'm like, from what I know about commissioners, they work for somebody on teams.
Mm-hmm.
And in college, it's the presidents and the chancellors. And that's the presidents and the chancellors were the ones that were at that meeting during COVID about the football season. And it was even said in the reports, they were the ones who made a decision. But the sheep who don't go and take their time to read, just listen to their neighbors and heard Warren messed up, didn't know the details of what they were talking about. It just like it seemed like they just wanted to pile on him. And that bothers me because a lot of people who would get bad mouth Kevin, not even Mr. Warren, haven't even taken the time to read, investigate for themselves, even give any facts on why they think he's a bad commissioner. And those type of people, I wish would just be quiet and keep their comments to themselves because they show they don't know what they're talking about. Those are idiots, Damon. Those are idiots. Yeah, a perfect description of a sheep. You know, my dad used to get behind that pulpit, and I remember one time he was about to read a chapter out the book, and he noticed the crowd wasn't opening their book, and he told them this. He said, hey, you need to open that book up yourself, read it for yourself, so you know what's going on, instead of depending on me to tell you what it is. Those are sheep. Sheep who don't sit up here and then go investigate anything for themselves. And I really don't want to hear anybody, the negative talk about Kevin Warren from anybody in this state because a lot of people sound like hypocrites.
Yeah, and it's okay to not like him for his handling over the pandemic. I don't want to. I'm not trying to change people's minds over that. I'm trying to say that with regards to this article, it's not near as scathing as the outrage. You know what I mean? Like that's
yes. And it sounds like the outrage to me is a continuation of piling on from stuff he's done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But in my opinion, a lot of times I hear stuff from people that I could tell they haven't went and investigated it on their own and come up with their own points of view. They're just regurgitating what they heard from somebody else. I'm not impressed by those type of people.
Yeah, I appreciate.
I like to hear individual thoughts. Give me something new.
I appreciate the call.
Yeah, thanks, B.
And it's interesting, right? Because if he really was playing the political game within the conference, because we use political all the time, like when we can't really put to words what we're really thinking. if he was really playing the game, wouldn't he have bended a knee? Wouldn't you bend a knee to the powers that be in the conference?
Probably.
Right. You would have been like, oh, well, Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State, they don't want to do this. So, okay, I'm not.
We'll ride with what they think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, I know you guys in the other conference, Michigan, or in the other division,
Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, things.
No problem, right? Like, whatever. But he didn't. The end game was to make the conference as much money as possible. I'm just not going to be mad at you for trying. I don't know how else to.
Yeah, I just
explain that.
Ultimately, it's what we just kind of wrapped up saying. Like you can dislike the guy for how he handled a certain situation or two early on, or even throughout, or if you think that this TV contract was a bad idea, you're entitled to think that way.
Yeah.
But like time will tell if it really does have a huge impact or not, which I don't think it will. They'll figure it out. It's like when we were talking to Jay, they have lawyers for everything. Kevin Warren just didn't sign off on all these things just to leave the conference in shambles to promote himself to get back to the NFL. Like he didn't just do that, because the Bears wouldn't have hired him either if that's the vibe they got from him. So it's okay to dislike the guy, but also remember, really, really remember that the Big Ten is going to be up next to the SEC when it comes to overall value.
Because I think the deal ultimately gets done. My man Thomas said, seems to me if Warren made a deal with NBC for the 2026 title game without authority, that should be litigated before schools pay Fox for loss of games. What I would wonder about is how the NBC deal went down. I find it hard to believe he would out of the blue decide to change the network move either on his own or without some sort of personal compensation by NBC. These types of deals never happen in a vacuum. They just don't. He
didn't do it alone.
And that's, I think that's a different discussion than not being happy with how he handled the COVID situation, or the fact that he wasn't very transparent with when and how the season was going to unfold, right? He just kind of went radio silent. And believe me, that was aggravating. But don't confuse that with him needing to keep Tom Izzo in the loop. Because I read that thing a couple of times. I know
the Tom Izzo point or the article.
I know as an evolving, I almost was going to say primate, but I'm not.
You're not going to go there?
Nah, I'm not. But I think
it's also why I hate social media.
It's fine.
I don't like negativity. I mean, I know you get it everywhere, but that type of negativity.
That's wild, isn't it?
It's something. You have a big pair of kahunas to post something like that.
So I say all that to say, like, I can look at what I think he was trying to do and understand. I actually am glad somebody's sticking up for the conference, right? Because, guys like Jim Delaney have aged well, but we forget what it was like to come into the conference. We were kind of this afterthought. Administration and brass was mad that they didn't have enough say-so. It took 6 years to get full payout from the conference. 8 years later, you subsidize a school to move to the conference. Like, I don't understand. Like, just the inability to see things as they stay in the moment, as opposed to these general things.
Right.
That's all right. At least we got the Gavitt games and stuff like that. College.
Hey, is Creighton in Iowa facing off?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's close too.
Will Bolt's up next though.
Got it.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Anderson sends this one into left center field, hit well, and it is off the wall in left center field. Anderson comes through with a 2-out double, scoring 2 runs, and Nebraska grabs command here in the 6th.
Hey, welcome back. That highlight coming when the Huskers defeated Creighton just recently. Gosh, it doesn't feel like it's been like two weeks
a
or
lot.
whatever.
We were trying to fast forward through that so we could get to this postseason.
Nebraska is the 4 heading into the Big Ten tournament, and we're excited to talk to Will Bolt, head coach of Nebraska baseball. And you can toss Nebraska baseball a follow on Twitter at Husker_baseball. Coach Bolt, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Coach, you have no idea. I'm already a huge fan, but for you to make time, I know you got some obligations coming up here in about a half an hour. We truly appreciate it, man. Just stand-up class act. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet, man. I love talking baseball, and I love promoting Husker baseball, and you guys do a great job. So happy to be on with you.
We appreciate that, Coach. Not the season you probably envisioned when you started. It dealt with a lot of adversity with this team, not only just with injuries, but just up and down with the rotation, trying to find the bats. I remember a quote that I took away from a game recently was when you wanted to have these guys take more pitches, like see better ABs. So it just felt like a season of learning over anything else. But ultimately, you're still in good shape.
Yeah,
you end up with the 4. So can you kind of like wrap the whole season into a giant ball for me and tell me how proud you are of this group for, responding or just your overall thoughts on the season?
Yeah, we have seen a lot this year, and I am proud of this group. I mean, we're tasked with we wanted a pretty major turnaround, obviously, from last season. And although we fell short of, what I say is our goal every year is going to be to try to be a team worthy of hosting a regional. We were in the hunt for most of the year to win the league and fell just short of that. I mean, the standings are pretty jumbled up there. It's a game or two here or there that really kind of swing some things. But yeah, if you think all the way back to San Diego at the opening weekend, we go 0-3,
yeah,
6-run lead in that 4th game, really trying to show some mental fortitude and to bounce back and, win those last 2 games after a tough start. And, we left there with that tie with the travel restrictions. And I told the team, I said, we're better than what we showed this weekend, and we just need to be, we got to learn how to win again. That was kind of the biggest thing is that, we just had to learn how to win again. So we responded with a road sweep and really played pretty good baseball, for a good stretch there. April was a little bit of kind of a turning point, the wrong direction for us, but we righted it back in May. So yeah, a lot of positives. I mean, if you'd have told me before the season that we were going to set the school record for home runs, with a chance to hit 100 home runs this year. Milestone there. Considering I think it was the 85 team did it maybe in almost 70 games.
Yeah.
And, we did it in just over 50. So proud of kind of the turnaround, especially on offense. I mean, we had a tough year scoring runs last year, and we turned that around this year, and we were one of the better offenses in the country, led by a couple of studs in the middle infield. An emergence of a guy like Gabe Swanson was a great story. And we've had some bright spots, on the weekends. It's where we've been pretty successful, 6 of 8 wins, winning series and conference play. And then we only lost, I believe, one other weekend, that opening weekend. So very consistent there. And, what I've told the team and the difference between really being that regional team that you want to be, the regional host you want to be, usually comes down to 5 games.
Yeah.
And that's where, we fell short is in the midweeks. And that's kind of where your depth really shows out, is in those midweek games. And unfortunately, we were just on the wrong side of too many of those. I mean, again, you talk about a 5-game swing, you look at a 36-15 record looks a lot different,
right?
Than where we're at right now. So, hey, got the 4 seed, got an opportunity against a really good Rutgers team here tomorrow, in a field that is wide open. There's a lot of parity in our league this year, I think. So that opportunity is there for us to go win a championship, and we're ready to seize that opportunity.
Coach, you have a lot of really good I'm a big press conference guy, and I like when you talk to the media because I think, when we listen, you tell us exactly what we need to know. And you said something earlier in the season about your ability to have multiple kinds of lineups, right? You could play a little smaller ball if you wanted to. You had some guys that can run. You felt like you could play gap baseball, and you also had the ability to leave the yard. Situationally, you felt good. When did you kind of settle into or know that this was going to be a team that could slug the way that it did? It doesn't seem like your personality, but at some point it is what it is. When did you kind of get out of the situational stuff and think, you know what, somebody's going to probably leave the yard here shortly, so let me settle into that. When did you evolve in terms of knowing your style?
I think we kind of saw it. We saw it really pretty early. And it was about that third weekend where, against Vandy, we win that game 5-3, but we felt like we dominated the game. And Vandy's turned out to have a really nice team and a great season. We felt like we dominated that game. I think we had 8 doubles in that game, and only scored 5 runs. We struck out, in some spots where, we needed to move the ball, and but we found a way to get the job done. And Garrett Anglin hit an eighth inning home run that, those are automatic baseball points, as we call them, the home run, right? Like you didn't have to get a leadoff walk and sack him over and, get a 2-out hit to score that run. It was one swing of the bat, and that won you the game late. So you kind of started to see it a little bit that weekend. And just with the personnel of our lineups, it kind of just played itself out that way a little bit more. Probably in hindsight, I do think that we probably could have or should have done a little more of the, bunting for a hit, which you've kind of seen here in the last few weeks, it's helped us. It's helped us be a little more versatile, and do some of those things that way. But yeah, Casey Burnham's been hitting the 2-hole. He's one of the fastest guys on the team. But, when Max Anderson's at the plate and he leaves the yard 21 times and hits 17 doubles or 18 doubles or whatever it is, like what's the risk reward?
Right. Leave him on first.
So there's some of that plays into it, certainly. And you just you start to forge an identity for your team. And that's really kind of the identity that we had. And, but again, I think right now what you're seeing is that we have the ability to hit the long ball, but we're also a little more versatile. We're not striking out as much. We're doing some different things in terms of bunting and some of those things. So I think that's going to be the difference in this tournament, right? It's a big ballpark. The ball doesn't always travel, for home runs and extra base hits. So I think having that versatility is going to be big.
Coach, what game down the stretch of this season did you feel was the turning point for this group to really put their foot on the gas? Because we were talking about how, man, is Nebraska going to make the Big Ten tournament? And, of course, they started winning those series down the stretch. But the games prior to that, when did you know that this group was destined to make the conference tournament?
Well, we had a really tough loss on a Friday night against Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think we had a 3-run lead or at least a 2-run lead going into the last inning, and we lost. And it was heartbreaking. And you're at that point in time, we're still fighting, near the top of the league, and you lose that game, and then you, like you said, you can start to kind of doubt yourself a little bit of going, man, we really feel like you should beat Minnesota at home, and we wanted to take care of business at home and try to get another series sweep. And our team bounced back from that. And we won the next 2 games and really kind of helped propel us to finish strong the way that we did. And, the Maryland series was hard fought. That Saturday game, I would say the one that we won 12-10, that was as,
Uh-oh. Hanging in there.
Coach.
Did I lose you there?
Yeah, we did. Just quickly, we lost you.
Hey, real quick before we let you go, Coach. I know you're one game at a time. That's how baseball is. Kind of a quirky format with Maryland picking the last day to go. You get the Wednesday game. It's one at a time, but the schedule gets condensed after that shortly. Do you allow yourself to even think about that before Rutgers?
No, you don't. You just kind of look at. Obviously, that first game is pretty important.
Yeah.
And the first two games are really important because it would give you a chance to breathe on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of look at it a little bit, but you go into these tournaments. The first couple of games are really important, and it's good that we have. Emmett Olson's going to be. We only threw 60 pitches last week in his start. By design, we were able to keep him on shorter pitch count last week. And Shanneman and Hawkins and all those guys that have been the highest leverage bullpen guys for us are going to be ready to rock. So we're excited about the opportunity, and I don't, you don't look too far ahead, but you also have to have a little bit of strategy involved, right, when it comes to tournament play.
Coach, we appreciate your time, man. Thanks so much. Good luck against Rutgers. Good luck in the Big Ten tournament. We'll be cheering for you.
Best wishes, Coach.
All right, guys. Appreciate it.
That's Coach Will Bolt, Nebraska baseball head at Husker_baseball, to follow the team on Twitter. When we come back, we will flip over to the University of Nebraska at Omaha and talk to Mike Boeve. Mike Boeve, the third baseman of the team, at Mike Boeve 05 on Twitter. A lot to discuss with him about not only just this team, but maybe even a little bit about his future. We'll get into that next. More CNC after the break.
Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning.
Top of the hour here on Coffee and Cream in the Morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. Damon Benning, Andrew Rogers, happy to have you with us and happy to be joined by Mike Boeve, Omaha baseball third baseman at Mike Boeve 05 on Twitter. The team is down in Tulsa getting ready to take on Oral Roberts in the opening round of the Summit League tournament. Mike, good morning. What's up, man?
How's it going, Andrew?
Good morning, Mike. When Andrew he's like, hey, we got to get Boeve. I was like, there's no way. He's always all business. I listen to him all the time. I said, it's going to be too close to game.
I've been in his ear all season.
It's too close to game situation, man. So we appreciate your time. Hastings' finest.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks for having me again.
Hey, Boeve, 23-1 in conference play. That's Oral Roberts. So a monster. They can hit. They can pitch. But what about this Golden Eagles team makes them the most strong? And what are you guys paying attention to as a team going into this matchup?
I think their lineup 1 through 9. They've obviously been really strong for a lot of years in this conference, and at least all 3 years I've been here. But I can't really remember facing a lineup that's so good, all throughout it. But, with how baseball works, as long as you give yourself a chance and you have the right guy step up at the right times, you never know what happens.
Yeah, you get hot. You're right. I got to ask you, and I've always chomping at the bit because I played this game a long time, and hitting has changed. The approach to hitting has changed. And I watched some of you guys locally and your approach at the plate. Talk me through or walk me through the difference between knowing the strike zone and knowing your strike zone. You don't let guys get away often when they make mistakes with where you like the baseball. What's the difference, or is there one?
There's a little bit of a difference. I like to say that baseball is a big game of adjustments. So I like to know what teams have attacked me with in the past, and what, pitchers go to get outs. And then obviously it's just kind of going off of, like you said, what I like to hit in my zone. And, sometimes it's out of your control with the umpires that day, but like I said before, it's all about adjustments. So it changes.
Mike, how do you block out your own personal hype that comes along with your skill sets? I mean, you're aware of, what comes with you and the hype that comes with the future and the draft and things like that. But how do you block that out and really stay in the moment and stay true to you?
Just remind yourself that it's a kid's game. Why I started playing it in the first place was to have fun. And it sounds kind of cliche, but I have found that that's the best way to kind of deal with something like that. So,
Mike, it's interesting. We talked to Coach Porter quite a bit, and I've known him forever as a local guy. He's got kind of this quiet confidence, and he's well liked. It seems like your teams get along pretty well. How close of a reflection of his personality is your baseball team?
Yeah, I think he preaches playing loose and relaxed. Ever since I got on campus, that was something I really tried to embrace. And I think if you do see someone like us being a 4 seed kind of creeping in, if you do see us make a run, that's certainly the reason.
Oh, I like that. little foreshadowing.
I'm a big fan of that. So keep it with the team here, because you guys have battled adversity all year. You lost Caleb Rydell. Other players have been in and out of injury, including yourself at different points. Whether those were just rest days, that is only up to you for you to decide. But just how valiant was this group to overcome those struggles and get to the conference tournament?
Yeah, I think it says a lot about not only the players we have, but kind of the character that we try to embody on this team. And like I said, I'll say it all the time, but baseball's a long season, and we're in college only playing 50, 60 games. It's incredible what those guys that play 100, 162 do. So the injuries are something that's going to come with it, and as long as you can be firing at the right time and get hot at the right time with everyone healthy. That's all that matters.
Historically, such tough schedules, especially in the non-con. You guys will play anybody. Do you get to this point in the season and reflect on that, or is it more about staying in the moment? Because you've played against some powers in a grinder kind of schedule.
I think it's good to reflect a little bit, just to kind of see what you might have improved on from playing those big schools. And then obviously, seeing, at least for me, seeing the better pitchers at those bigger schools is something that is good come postseason time, because obviously you're getting everyone's best. So I think it's just a reminder that where you start at the beginning of the season is not where you want to be now, and those tougher teams can really help you improve throughout the year.
Mike, I want to talk about your counterpart right to your left when you're on the field, and Devin Hurrdat, because his production has been outstanding.
Good hitter
this season. And, this team always knew he had the talent. I mean, he had the skill sets to be really good, but the fact that he's showing up like he is in the stat column is really a true kudos to his improvement. What have you liked about playing with him throughout your career at Omaha? And, maybe take it one step further, because you're always at the top of the charts when it comes to hitting. But to see his name right below you this year, speak to just what it's like to be, whether it's just the teammate, a mentor, whatever it is with Dev.
Yeah, I love playing on the same side of the infield as him. He's very even keel. It's hard to tell with Debo if he's having a rough day or one of his best days. And he's been having a lot of those good days recently, and he's still the same guy as he's been. I think going out to the Northwoods this summer for him was huge. He got a lot of at-bats, played a lot of games, and I think there was some swing adjustments that might have been made. I think he really liked one of the hitting coaches out there, and I think he's just really taking that full speed ahead into this year.
I got to ask, because it's in the rearview mirror, so I think it's okay to lament about it. Obviously, your in-state success from right down the way at Hastings and a couple of the killer bees, as I like to say, with Butenbach and Boeve. I patrolled that outfield many a nights. When you look at the state, the way the game is played, it's high-quality baseball in the state of Nebraska at the high school level and at the collegiate level. You guys take a ton of pride in kind of that in-state round robin and the success you had, or is it just you expect to belong and that's just what you get with your product?
Yeah, it's nice to show that we can compete with the other in-state teams. Obviously, there's some rivalries there that some people might take pride in, but for me, it's just another baseball game. And a lot of times it's a midweek game. That's what it comes down to. We're really not getting everyone's best pitchers. Obviously, everyone wants to win those games, but at the end of the day, you want to build off those games and for the conference series and then eventually for the conference tournament.
Mike, everybody has a role model, and I talk to your dad a lot at baseball games because he's always there, like taking notes on like practically a napkin. But he's always just paying attention to you and your ABs. How much of an impact has your dad been for you in your baseball career?
I can't talk about it enough. It's been huge, especially growing up around him, coaching Hastings College when I was a kid. It's everything I really know about the game of baseball and how I played is because of him.
Man, one more thing here before I let you go. Say this is your last hoorah and you choose to move on and do other things. What do you hope to remember most out of your time in Omaha?
Just the relationships I've made. I think that's what you have to take with you in baseball with the long seasons. Obviously you'll remember the games, but little things like bus rides, going to eat, stuff like that with the team, with the coaches. That's what I'll try to take with me.
Oh, you won't remember being a staff member at the hockey games or like being down in the tunnel or something like that?
Let's make some noise. I think I'll remember that too.
All right. Boeve, we appreciate you, man. Good luck to you and the team as you're down in Tulsa, and we hope and wish you guys the best.
Appreciate you making time. I was worried. I appreciate it.
Yes, thanks, guys.
Hey, thanks, Mike. Mike Boeve, Omaha third baseman at Mike Boeve05 on Twitter. And if you aren't following him yet, you better be following him now because he may follow you back before he gets super big.
Is it 12:26? It's a weird start time. Is it 12:20?
Something like that.
Well, nice conference record that Oral Roberts. What was that? They've been
23-1.
They've been the monster in the conference.
Let's remember the team that Omaha took down in the conference final on the softball field. That team was 17-0 going into the conference tournament. Lost to USD, worked their way back, and then Omaha got the 1-0 win.
The cool thing about him is, how about the little subtle, hey, listen, if we start making some noise as the 4, a lot of it'll have to do with the way that we're coached. Because I thought that was kind of quick but cool insight into the significance of Coach Porter's personality. Like he
is a personality.
He was quick to reference that.
You know, there's a lot of coaches too, and we're so lucky in the state, but there are coaches everywhere that some are like, they know their role, so they're like that big for their role, like not just in their head, but their personality reflects the role a little bit. But not Porter, not Bolt, not Service. Like, we're talking about guys that aren't afraid to look past what their title says they are.
Yes, I think because the sport by nature, and I've said this before, and I believe it to be true, it is the hardest of the true skilled team sports, and it's a game about managing failures. It's so
because it's individual. It's individual, but it's a team sport.
It's so humbling, right? To do something 1 out of 3 times doesn't seem like a very good success rate. You know, I've said this before. You're on offense and you don't have the ball. Like it's a very, very difficult sport to play well, and so I think folks that are around it a long time, they embrace it. And because you can either choose to be humble or be humbled, and hopefully you're choosing the first one and not the latter.
And I could make the argument too that it is a harder mental sport than golf.
Yeah, with the downtime in between.
Than golf.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is you can control your speed in golf. You can control how quickly you bounce back because your shot is right after your next shot.
Yeah.
But as you just pointed out, if you don't get a hit, you have to wait 9 batters. Sometimes that's an hour.
Well,
and
maybe you kick one around in the infield or outfield and you don't get another crack at it for another 8-9 hitters. Yeah. Well, I get it.
Yep. So we'll be talking to Joel Lorenzi as we transition throughout the
Quick
first
gear
segment.
change.
Now, Joel Lorenzi is the Creighton beat for the Omaha World-Herald at JX Lorenzi on Twitter. Joel, good morning. What's up, man?
What's going on, guys?
Well, my floor is alpha clean after that sweep. How about you?
And well, you know what? Ain't you a Lakers fan?
I am. I'm a Lakers fan, diehard. It's tough to watch.
Nah, my floor's pretty clean too, but I can't say I'm surprised. I mean, I probably knew after the game too. I mean, I knew they were gonna probably be in every game. There's just nothing they could do to stop Denver, man. Denver got all the parts, man, of a team that's supposed to be here. If they don't handle Miami, like if their series is not over in 6 games, I'd probably be stunned. They look like the best team in the world right now. I'm not sure it's really close.
Who's going to make more money in the offseason, Brown or Reeves?
Assuming Bruce Brown stays with Denver, I gotta imagine that to fit everybody in that nucleus, he'll probably, I don't want to say he'll take less. I'm sure he'll want to stay part of a championship team. So you know what goes into that and the toll that might have on his price. Austin Reeves, it seems like Austin Reeves is gonna go get that bag, man. It seems like there's a team that is gonna be willing to offer him at the very least $80 million. Like the absolute floor seems like $80 million right now.
We saw it happen with Duncan Robinson, right? It's like, now I don't know if the Heat loved that contract, a year ago, but
right. But now he's stepping up and being a role player again.
Hey, so
I don't think they love it right now, but he's at least back in the rotation for them.
Hey, my 13-year-old calls, he goes back and forth. He's a big Jimmy Butler guy. He calls him Mr. Tryhard, and they're a try-hard Heat team. How is trying so hard been such the secret sauce for this team. You have to be stunned at how they just continually outplay and outgrind teams.
Yeah, and I know, look, people are going to say this is my Giannis agenda, but I was thinking about this the other day. I think people got to understand that this Heat team is genuinely good. They flip the switch come playoff time. I think that's the mastermind that is Spo and the way that staff is unlocked these role players, because they got elite role players. Like, I think all these players would do well somewhere, but the way they've done well together here in this space on one team is a lot of that is Spo, man, and the staff, the way that unlocks them. And yeah, you're kind of waiting, you're kind of expecting this thing to end, and it just won't. And a lot of that is, you got your top 10 player in Jimmy Butler. You got elite role players. I mean, Caleb Martin is playing like,
oh my gosh,
I don't even know. I mean, good God.
Hey,
man.
and he low key runs it out there. He will whisper in your ear.
He's nice, man. And I don't know if he could do this everywhere, but he does it so well in Miami, man. I think they really unlocked him, and so it just works for them, man. And they got, like, it's cheesy, but they got culture and they got everything. And they've been able to run through teams. Now, I mentioned the Giannis agenda because I'll say, like, look, this is a genuinely good team by now. I think we can admit that. But we got to know if Giannis played those games, we wouldn't even be talking about these dudes, man. And it upsets me because, like, look, it's hard to argue with Jokic being the best player in the world now after the series after series. But it's even harder because Giannis isn't playing basketball right now. I think if Giannis was playing basketball, if Bud's head wasn't fried, then we wouldn't. The conversation would be different, at least a little bit. But it's Jokic's year for sure. So he gonna get a ring, and the conversations are gonna change.
Joel, we didn't get to talk to you last week, but I want to go back and talk about the NBA Draft Combine. Out of the three, Kalk, Trey, and Kaluma, who would you say has jumped off the page in regards to their combine results?
I thought I liked. It's hard to say. I think Kalk
changed the most minds, right?
Changed the most minds.
Like, I think he made the most growth from what people thought that they were getting.
Maybe Kalk.
Yeah.
I think because I think with Trey, even though he had his first game, that 14-point game, you could argue that it was as fruitful as any of their games. When you do look at what teams were looking for them during that week, you realize that Trey really didn't do everything he maybe should have. And of course, it's difficult to do in that setting. Like, and Kalk said something like this in the story I wrote yesterday. It's just, especially for him, it's a difficult setting for a big man to kind of play outside yourself and kind of show, like, do things that you don't usually do. Like, if teams are like, look, like for Trey, and they're like, look, we need to see the share combo guard. We want to see you in more pick and rolls and getting off the ball to give it to people and setting people up. That's not so easy. You would need a higher usage for that, probably. That's easier said than done, man. Like, you're not going to get every pick and roll. You're not even going to see the ball every time down, because all these guys got something to prove out there and probably something that they want to show that they either didn't during the season or are still trying to show at a different degree. So I think with that being said, I'm not sure how much of that Trey actually got to show during the week. I don't know if he got 2 assists between those couple days of scrimmages. So there's definitely more to be desired there. But Kalk, you could kind of argue the same thing. Like, scouts want to see, the shooting from him. And the 1-3 he hit was he banked a 3, I think, from the left wing. But I think the bar was pretty low for him. And I think he did what he's known for. Like I thought he had some impressive defensive sequences that could have made people like. Because I think regardless, if somebody was to draft Kalk this year, or pick him up, it would take someone who's like a cult fan of him. Like he has to have a cult following at the back of that draft, so they're like, okay, we believe in this dude, we're gonna invest in him. And truthfully, I think his cult followers probably saw what they liked. I think back to the sequence I wrote about in my story yesterday. He's playing drop, which is what he's known for. He gets a piece of the lob that Beekman throws to Sheway, and then that play isn't over. Like that possession isn't over. They somehow get the ball back and kick it out to a shooter who has feet of space behind the line, and Kalkbrenner somehow lunges out there and alters that shot. So you saw plays like that, and he made himself available around the rim, and I don't think he missed a shot in that second game. So I think with the second game, it was probably like, okay, like if this is the stuff we wanted to see from Kalkbrenner, like we got it. Now, obviously, the three is still to be desired, but I'm not sure that's something that could happen overnight, and it's not something that you could really kind of force in one of those scrimmages. If they're not going to find you behind the line, especially like you mentioned as a big man, it's not something you could really force.
Yeah, let me get you out on this. I think initially we started with 2 out of the 3 may come back. Now are we down to 1? Still, are we 2 out of the 3? And if whatever your number is, who would you take to come back for what this particular team needs as the roster currently sits?
I think they're both equally important, man. Like,
okay.
They'll both be unbelievably large gaps to fill in the roster. Like with Trey, this is a dude you're looking at. Like they're trying to give the keys. Like they want him on the ball, off the ball. Like this is who they want their offense being. This is going to be their first option. And with Kalkbrenner is he's their walking defense, man. I mean, he's been the reason they've been in top 20 defense the past couple of years. Without him, they might be top 50 at best. I don't know. I'm not sure. By committee, they have the collection of on-ball defenders and threatening defenders that can, supplement what he brings as a presence there. So those are equally important holes that you probably have to fill. Based on probably their identity the past couple years, I'd maybe say Kalkbrenner is a more important player to worry about. So.
Joel, we appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Who's going to win, Celtics or Heat tonight?
Come on, don't ask me that, bro. You think you can watch the Celtics?
Brogdon says they lost their identity. I think it was you a couple weeks ago that said the Celtics need to start guarding again.
I don't remember, but they need to be somebody again. Joe Mazzulla out here watching the town. Go watch film, man.
See you, brother. We'll be back.
Sightseeing.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 5 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes.
Denver basketball out of the timeout. Murray has it over to Jokic. Head fake and a drive on LeBron. Spins on him. Shoots over him. Jumper good. 102-98 is the score. Nikola Jokic. Murray has it bottom corner.
Drives into a double team. Puts it up. Couldn't get it. Horn sounds. Game's over. The Denver Nuggets have finally done it. In their 47th season in the NBA, the Denver Nuggets are going to the NBA Finals. The NBA Finals. Inbound.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Inbound to James. LeBron against Gordon. Drives into a double team. Puts it up. Couldn't get it. Horn sounds. Game's over. The Denver Nuggets have finally done it. In their 47th season in the NBA, the Denver Nuggets are going to the NBA Finals.
Hey, welcome back. Coffee and Cream in the morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. Damon Benning, Andrew Rogers. We're live from the H&H Chevrolet stage at Hail Varsity Club. Speaking of Hail Varsity Club.
Yeah, listen, when we just met, what was this young lady's name?
Cassidy.
And the Sundance Kid. It was a little too early to start getting into nicknames and stuff with her because we just met her and she had waited outside the doors. But apparently Cassidy is just now starting. But Hail Varsity Club, hey, we're still looking for more good folks. You got to be a little motivated, pretty enthusiastic. It is a place that I like to kind of hang out because the food is really, really good. And so if you want to be a part of a super team, I would
If you want to work
here.
for a boss like Bill,
Yeah,
like
for sure.
that's really the difference maker.
For sure.
The difference maker. I can't preach that more.
And just make sure that you go to hailvarsityclub.com and then / I believe it's a /. It doesn't go the other way, so just go back / and it's careers. It's a pretty cool team. So come be a part of it because I need a nice place to hang out with nice people.
Mm-hmm. And if you feel like you're a little dinged up, you can take your car over to Dingman's Collision Center because this seems like a show that could ding somebody up based on us talking about Kevin Warren, and maybe if you're a Lakers fan, thanks Shane. If you have an issue with your car,
even what was that about?
If you have an issue with your car, take it over to Darcy and the Dingman's family.
Can I take Celtics over there? Like the whole entire team?
Oh, tomorrow we'll make.
I mean, I'll take Jason over there. I'll take them all over.
No, we're gonna place.
I mean, would that not be cool? Would that not be cool if I showed up at Dingman's with like Jason Tatum, and those guys?
Shoot Jason Tatum over at Dingman's Collision Center because he's been putting up a lot of bricks and damaging his car. So he's taking in some things.
At least in the fourth quarter.
Wait, is he shooting in the fourth quarter?
Man, team's unbelievable. God, the road was paved once the Bucks were beaten.
The Boston was my team from the beginning. I said, hey, they have like a UConn approach. They had a great start, then a bad stretch of 3 weeks, and then just piled them back on to end the season. And then, as you said, and I think you said it in a joking manner, but it's actually pretty serious. Like the Celtics don't want to keep playing basketball.
They don't appear to.
They just don't want to. They don't want to have to win 4 games.
Yeah, you can tell if a team feels like being there. I just don't think they like their. I don't know. I was reading Brogdon's comments about how they kind of lost their
Malcolm
way.
in the middle.
Yeah, he said it's season-long issues, right? It's just it has. He said waned all year, and their defense has slipped. Right, they're letting Miami look like this offensive machine. And granted, now they're playing well, but when you start talking about the role guys just dealing you fits, all of a sudden Duncan's back in the rotation, and Martin is getting buckets. Like, I don't know, you got some league pros, some all pro caliber guys on Boston's roster, and they're just having their way defensively. It's just been too easy.
It's just I can't ever sit down in front of the TV and think that the Heat are going to win that game. Like you look at when you see the rosters pop up, like, oh, here's tonight's starting lineup brought to you by whatever, probably Dingman's tonight, and you see Tatum, you see Brown, you see Horford, and then you see Jimmy Butler and who? Yeah. Right, Jimmy Butler and who?
It's like.
Adebayo?
I mean, Bam's resurgence, but they have played well all postseason. They drubbed a good Knicks team.
That they did.
So it was
I wouldn't call them a great team.
No.
Like both of those teams were like, the scrappier team will come out and win this series.
And they just seemed to always be in control. Like they seem to be dictating how these series are being played.
Now, has Jokic changed your mind in regards to our conversation about 3 weeks ago when MVP went to Joel Embiid and we had said, who would you rather have on your team, Joel Embiid or Jokic? And
that wasn't the argument. It was whether he should be the MVP.
Oh, no. It was who's the more consistent player.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're right.
You asked me the same question.
Because I'll take Jokic every day.
Now. Right.
Well, even then, I just think for what that team, who they were playing with, that it was Embiid because Embiid's cast. Remember, we went through the cast of characters.
We did.
And I don't know if I want to play with Tobias Harris. I certainly don't want to play with James Harden.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
I'd play with Maxey though.
I like Maxey, But for whatever the reason, they get away from him.
Mm-hmm. You asked me though, Andrew, would you rather have Harden or Jamal? And I said Harden, and I have been regretting that decision ever since.
So I didn't hammer you over it because Harden's the more proven commodity,
and that's why I took him.
But I thought you just wouldn't want to be like play with him. He seems like he would be a hard guy to play with.
And the more I thought about it, the more I agree. Also, though, if we're going with recency bias a little bit,
I don't know if I would love playing with Michael Porter Jr. either.
But I absolutely would play with Jamal.
Yeah,
I'm absolutely.
And maybe it's Porter Jr.'s mannerisms, and I need to get over that.
By the way, remember how I told you MPJ first basket?
Yeah.
So I went and placed that bet.
So wait, what did you go with? What did you go with again?
Plus 900.
Oh, it was Gorman.
It was Gorman who hit a double. Big deal. It was earlier on though, so I don't know if it was on the ground or in the air. But my brother told me he had some good ABs yesterday. Didn't end up hitting a home run. DeYoung hit another one though. He's got 9 or 8 or 9 now. So it was Gorman, it was first basket Porter, and then it was the Hurricanes. Well, good news is the Hurricanes lost. Gorman didn't hit a home run, and MPJ missed a 3 to open up the game. Yeah. And I'm like, because oh my goodness.
He started like 1 of 6.
Mm-hmm. But
I remember thinking, I was like, oh, here he goes.
But I placed that bet solo, plus 900. 15. What is that? Well, 10 would win 90, so 15 would add another 45. Carry the 2, 135.
Seems like a lot.
For 15? 15 to win 135? Mm-hmm. Plus 900.
Ain't bad.
Miss the 3.
You're like, come on, man.
How about them apples?
Miss the 3.
Hey, like Joel said, come on, man. Don't ask me that.
You seem very hurt right now.
I'm fine. I found myself having to combat my own personality because it's.
You in a good mood or what?
I'm okay.
I'll be in a great mood tomorrow when we talk to him.
So here's the thing, though. Like, I found myself compromising what I always say about being competitive. Because at one point, I was just happy that they were in the Western Conference Finals. Because remember, since we've been doing this, I'm like, these guys are going to be in the playing game. I'll be lucky to be this. And Braun got hurt. I'm like, just hang on. And I certainly didn't see Western Conference Finals. But going out like Willie Lump like that with a 4-0 sweep.
Yeah, sweep was not predicted.
So then I was like, man, I'm not just happy to be there. You're supposed to win that thing. But they're sometimes they're so bad in the half court.
Would GSW have won one game?
Yeah, I'm sure Curry would have went ham
once,
gone for 55, and Clay would have chipped in, 29, and they'd have won.
They probably would have lost the series 4-2, right?
Yeah, because from a matchup standpoint, Golden State, in my opinion, seems like the better matchup, especially with Draymond and defending, and just their versatility to match three-point barrage with three-point barrage.
Shocked me that AD did not defend like he did against Golden State.
Yeah,
it shocked me.
He was not.
Well, you're always going to remember. I mean, you remember more of the teams that get into the playoffs. They make a little bit of run, and then they kind of lose it at the end there. You're going to remember like this Boston team is not being able to get over the hump compared to a team that doesn't even make the playoffs. You won't even remember that 5 years from now.
Yeah,
you look back and go, man, that Boston team of 2023, they had a chance. We were picking them early, and they just, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that you remember.
I just don't want to get in the habit of getting there and not getting over the hump versus not getting there at all.
Right.
I'd rather get there and not get over the hump, right? Like
10 times out of 10.
Because that's why I'm not mad at LeBron. Like, you're mad at LeBron for not getting over the hump. Would you have been happier if they just didn't make it?
Hey, if LeBron would have tried for the second half,
man,
if he didn't get tired, DB, because he's 38 years old, we're going to start calling him LeBum.
Tough out here.
Unbelievable.
Tough out here.
It is. It's a hard day.
It's tougher in Boston.
Hey, when we come back, we are going to do the 6-pack. Get your questions in. We will do the 6-pack presented by Zipline Brewing next on Coffee and Cream.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio. Time now for the Sports Six-Pack on Coffee and Cream with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning. Presented by Zipline Brewing Company, makers of Dear Old Nebraska Brew, the official beer of Nebraska alumni.
Please verify your age to enter. I am 21 and older, which what does that mean, DB? It means I can participate in Zipline's farewell tour. How about that? Fare thee well. They are saying goodbye to their beloved tap room because of upcoming brewery expansion. So a bittersweet moment for Zipline, and they want you to come help celebrate Zipline this week. Did you miss it yesterday? Green Label IPA night? Well, don't worry. There's plenty more events this week. Big Prize Bingo is tonight. Trivia is tomorrow. That is our forte on this show. Maybe it's mine. DB may seem reluctant on Fridays to play, but he tends to come out.
I'm on a little bit of a losing streak, aren't I?
No, well, you lost to.
I think I've lost 2 straight.
I don't want to say who you lost to last Friday because we will hear it all week again. Did you lose the week before? Or did you win? I thought
remember.
It broke up. I thought you lost last week, won, and lost the week before. But it could have been lost, win.
I can't remember.
Regardless, maybe you go to Zipline for trivia night on Wednesday to get another dub. But there's events all throughout the weekend, including on Saturday and Sunday. Sunday's the last day at the tap room. So make sure to go check out Zipline and take advantage of their merch sale, 20% off on Sunday. Shane, you have our questions. I'm going to throw it to you now because if not, we will never finish.
You could play Cam, by the way. I mean, he is all about trivia, and he does trivia here.
That's what we should do. Yeah, Friday trivia against
Cam.
I'm
Good
not
idea,
throwing
Shane.
Cam
under the bus or anything.
Yes, you are. He doesn't know sports trivia as well as DB, so you absolutely are.
Well, I'll just be drinking over here.
Question number 1.
Which LA superstar is more likely to retire this offseason, LeBron or Kershaw?
Ooh. So you have LeBron's recent thoughts saying, I don't know my future, but every NBA player of his age, or I guess just every athlete of that age tends to say that. Brady said that for a while. But Kershaw is interesting because he's having a good season.
Yeah.
And that tends to happen.
And they just put him on the IL. Too.
Right. So Waino, when he said he was going to retire, ended up having one of his best seasons, and then he played for now another 3 seasons. I'll go with LeBron. I may go out on a limb. Is it a limb, though? If he said it, if he alluded to it, maybe, maybe not. I'll say LeBron.
Kershaw's 35.
Mm-hmm. But pitchers can, like, how old's Verlander?
I don't know, but Kershaw's been at the front of that rotation. He's been a 1 or a 2.
Justin Verlander is 40.
Could he change roles?
How old's Greinke?
38, maybe?
9. Close.
Okay. I'll go LeBron.
Man, could you imagine if LeBron retires?
I kind of hope so.
Could you imagine?
No,
like, it's a new wave of NBA. I get it, but an NBA without LeBron?
Yeah. LeBron James. Yeah, I mean, he's earned the right.
Oh, by far.
I don't know.
There's no question there. It would just be shocking next season to not see LeBron's name on the court.
It's bizarre world. I'm like defending his
honor.
Yeah.
It's happened before. It'll happen again.
Save
NBA games without LeBron.
Save it, Shane.
Question number 2.
If you had to make a list of the best college football quarterbacks of all time, who would be your top 5?
Oh, my Lord.
Do you want to go first?
Top 5?
Tebow's in my top 5.
Oh,
He'll probably be 5 for me. 4 best college football quarterbacks. 4. Vince Young has to be in there somewhere.
It's tough.
Lamar. I'll do 4 as Lamar.
Lamar
Tebow, Lamar. You may knock me on this. I'm going to throw Baker Mayfield in at 3.
I like Baker.
Vince at 2. Who would be 1 for me, though? I probably should have started at 1. Could have easily worked my way out. I don't know. Come back to me.
I'll give you 4. And then I'll need the 5th. I'm going to take Matt Leinart.
Ooh, good one. That's a really good one.
I'm going to take Pat White from West Virginia. He was unstoppable. I'll take T. Fraze. And a little recency bias, but he was prolific. And I get it. He had good receivers.
Mm-hmm.
But he started to get it halfway through the season the year before. I'll take Joe Burrow.
I was going to say Joe Burrow as my 1. But I think that's Vince Young had more than Joe Burrow.
You know who I actually like too, just because I was a big Hugh Green guy.
I'll go Burrow.
I kind of want to take Marino from Pitt, and I was hoping the Steelers drafted him, but that draft is well documented.
Okay, Burrow, Vince Young, Baker, Lamar, Tebow. That's my 5. I don't think it's a bad 5.
No, it's not a bad 5.
Can I give you my 5 real quick?
Nope.
Yeah.
Tommy Frazier, Eric Crouch, Vince, Taylor Martinez, and
You're a Taylor Martinez guy?
And Tommy Armstrong.
Question number 3.
Who was 3?
Vince. He doing Ferragamo or Young?
No, Ferragamo.
I was like, Vince Young.
Wow.
Brad in Scottsbluff wants to know, knowing what we know, who would win the Wild Wild West in the AL?
What?
Who'd win the Wild West?
In the AL?
Yeah.
Who would win the AL West, knowing what we know right now?
Mm-hmm.
This is DB's division. I'll let you start.
Well, the Astros have won 9 out of 10. 8 in a row. They appear to be getting it going.
As
they closed
predicted.
the gap in a hurry.
Mm-hmm.
But I know what I didn't see. I didn't see the Angels a couple games over 500. Right? Like that pitching is kind of held up.
The Mariners have not met expectation.
But almost at 500, which after that start,
not bad. Just kind of like the Cardinals, right?
It's just hard.
Cardinals 7-3 in their last 10.
It's hard to make up.
Imagine losing to the Reds.
You jinxed it.
Astros would win, in my opinion.
I'll play it safe and take the Astros because of their pedigree, but I have the Rangers in the playoffs. As you remember.
Yes, that's you do.
Man.
And you have the Mariners in the World Series.
Yep. I know it. Not gonna look very smart on that one.
Maybe. What if they get hot?
We'll see. I mean, they could play Oakland.
Let's see if Teoscar Hernandez can get hot himself.
About another 10 times a year, I'd be fine with that.
Go ahead, Shane.
Question number 4.
Thomas asked along the same lines as DB's question to Joel. I looked up and saw Kaluma and Kalak listed. Kalk listed on the recent mock as second rounders. A pick in the mid 40s, good enough for a head to the lead, or still leaning stay in college?
Hey, timeout.
It's a long question, Thomas. Thomas is getting a lot in there.
Okay, talk to me again.
So along the same lines of DB's question, Kalk and Kaluma, if they're mid 40 picks, so second round picks in the mid 40s, is that head to the NBA or stay in college? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Man, I would think he'd stay in college.
I would think so too. If you're not a first round pick anymore,
I know.
Why wouldn't you stay in college? You could just get your bag in college.
Yeah, and they'd be the men.
Yes, they would.
I don't know. If it were me, I would come back.
If you're Kaluma, though, where do you end up?
Kaluma's gonna play college ball someplace else.
Right.
This year.
So
I don't know.
Just going to be the guy wherever that is.
He's the odd man out. No disrespect to Art. I think he's kind of getting a bad rap, but I think Creighton fans emotionally have moved on.
Right.
Question number 5.
Create a new Mount Rushmore third baseman with the 4 heads would be
a first baseman,
third base.
Cal Ripken Jr.
While you're putting him at third,
any third base? Like he played majority third base with the Orioles, right?
He was a shortstop.
He played third base too.
Did he not? Maybe way late in his career.
Well, that's the Cal Ripken I know.
Yeah, Cal's a shortstop.
Well, I guess would you consider Machado? Like,
I would call Machado a third baseman.
Okay, well, I'd put Arenado and Cal Ripken at third. I'll make him a third baseman. Mike Schmidt?
Wade Boggs?
I'm for sure going with Arenado.
A-Rod?
That's tough. A-Rod.
But he started at shortstop.
I think the majority of their career, because in New York, he was a third baseman.
So you would take Cal out of my list.
Yeah, I would. I don't know what baseball purists would do.
Okay. I'll leave him in my list, but I'll do Cal, A-Rod, Arenado, and Mike Schmidt.
I like the Schmidt pick. I think he's underappreciated historically. I never saw Brooks Robinson.
That's a good one. Brooks Robinson.
I have his auto. I don't know enough. I'll take Arenado, Schmidt, A-Rod.
logged on to the Homer Network. I take Joker. But I'm not going to. I'll have to come back to that one. That's tough. I don't want to say something I don't mean.
The last question, and we'll do it quick. Which 15 should be hanging in the rafters at Ball Arena in Denver? Carmelo or Jokic?
Jokic.
I think Jokic too.
Joker.
We'll be back tomorrow.